Now that our Game of the Year awards are out of the way, we might have just said goodbye to the best of 2021, but we're already excited to check out the best of 2022. As such, we've put our heads together to come up with our top 10 most anticipated games of 2022. While many of the games on this list have had limited gameplay shown, it's hard not to be impressed with their unique gameplay and concepts. Please note that the games are listed in alphabetical, ascending order. Elden Ring. While the Dark Souls saga is now complete, From Software is far giving up making Dark Souls-esque games. While Sekiro had its own unique charm and hook to it, focusing on countering and guard breaks, From Software's next game is highly anticipated due to its resemblance of the Dark Souls franchise in a brand new and magical setting. It helps that they've collaborated with Game of Thrones author George R.R. Martin in creating such a world. The idea that one of the best world builders in the world is coming on to create something with a developer well known for its game lore is an exciting prospect. On top of that, From Software is implementing important changes to the gameplay and introducing a true open world setting, even more so than the Dark Souls franchise is known for. It's a game that has had a lengthy development and been highly anticipated for many years, so you know we're excited to sink our teeth into it in a couple of months. Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy has changed a lot over the past 34 years and become a divisive franchise among its fanbase. Trying to get a consensus about which is the best Final Fantasy is impossible, and there's a few entries that are flat out reviled by some fans, while called brilliant by others. But regardless of when someone was introduced to Final Fantasy or what their favorite entry is, there's something exciting about the announcement of a new Final Fantasy game. Final Fantasy XVI continues to take the gameplay in more action-oriented direction away from the original turn-based combat. Will Final Fantasy XVI be the next great entry in the Final Fantasy library, or will it be an utter disappointment? Probably both, depending on which random Final Fantasy fans are questioned, but from what has been shown in the trailers, this is one of our most anticipated titles for 2022. God of War Ragnarok. There's little to be said about 2018's God of War that hasn't been shouted from mountaintops by pretty much anyone who has ever owned a PS4. From its fantastic combat to its impressive presentation and jaw-dropping story beats, this fresh start of a sequel proved its willingness to change its foundation to stay relevant among modern games while still remaining faithful to the original titles that helped it find its audience. So it came as little surprise that Kratos and Atreus' Norse adventure would be getting a sequel of its own, and while few fans actually ever expected it to come out this year, 2021 did provide us with the first look at gameplay for God of War Ragnarok, which only increased the excitement surrounding Sony Santa Monica's next creation. With Freya and Thor out for blood after the events of the previous game, this father and son duo will have to travel to new realms and master their abilities in combat if they wish to survive the coming Ragnarok, and we can't wait to be there for every step of the journey. Horizon Forbidden West. Prior to 2017, Guerrilla Games was best known for the Killzone franchise. A series of first-person shooters, the Killzone games were always good, but they weren't exactly known for their strong world-building, characters, or story. So when Horizon Zero Dawn launched on PS4 with a strong emphasis on its world, story, and characters, we were totally floored. Aloy turned out to be a strong protagonist wrapped up in an engrossing narrative and world just begging to be explored. Zero Dawn turned out fantastic, and we've been waiting ever since for the sequel. In 2021, we're finally getting that sequel with Horizon Forbidden West. Players once again take control of Aloy as travels to West Coast in search of the source of a mysterious plague. So far, what we've seen of Horizon Forbidden West has been promising. Though the game will launch on PS4 in addition to the PS5 version, Guerrilla Games has promised to take full advantage of the PS5 to deliver stellar visuals, nearly eliminate all load times and produce 3D audio. We've seen trailers and a gameplay demo, and so far Guerrilla seems ready to deliver on that. Now, we just have to hope they can properly follow up on the amazing world building, character development, and story of the original. Thankfully, we won't have to wait that much longer as Horizon Forbidden West launches February 18, 2022 on PS5 and PS4. Loot River. One of the great cliches of gaming is describing something as this with that, and it can get weird at times. A prime example is Loot Hero, which can lazily be described as a top-view roguelike Dark Souls mixed with Tetris, sounding on the surface like two great tastes that taste terrible together, but somehow it works anyway. A traveler is caught in a strange ruined settlement and is now effectively immortal, questing in the surrounding waterlogged ruins for a way out. While the action is the deliberate, careful combat of Dark Souls, movement is divided between the standard running around and sliding tetronymo-shaped floats around the dungeon to build a path forward. A big part of the combat strategy, in fact, is moving the floats to your advantage, sliding them around to control the enemy path towards you or charging up a strong attack while docking into place right within striking range. It also doesn't hurt that getting all the treasure involves solving puzzles with the tetronymo floats. Guiding them into place to open up tricky paths. Combat puzzle dungeons are the best kind of dungeons, which easily earns Loot River its most anticipated slot. Metal Slug Tactics. The Metal Slug series has been largely known for providing some of the best run and gun shooting action in the business. With its highly detailed pixel art and offbeat sense of humor, it has become one of SNK Playmore's signature franchises. It's also a franchise we've seen get more depth on the mobile space, with various re-releases alongside Metal Slug-themed additions to games like Jetpack Joyride. The franchise's striking environments and bright artwork have made it a natural fit for that, but will be used in a tactical game for the first time, enabling the franchise to be a gateway game for an entirely new genre. Metal Slug Tactics will be available on both mobile devices and the Nintendo Switch, a platform rich with tactical RPGs, but nothing with the pedigree behind it of Metal Slug Tactics. Pokémon Legends Arceus. Pokémon Legends Arceus was one of the biggest surprise reveals at the beginning of 2021, being a complete reimagining of the traditional formula in favor of a look to the past and brand new experiences to come. Aside from spin-offs, Legends is looking like one of the most unique takes, with a focus on research more strong than ever instead of more traditional battles and leagues we've come to know. The process seems to lend itself well to quests these new trainers will go on, so it's exciting to slowly begin to see what's in store for what will be the latest Pokémon adventure. With multiple teases throughout the year at this point and the title due out right at the beginning of 2022, it's one of our most anticipated, as it's been a while since we've seen such a creative twist on the tried and true Pokémon style. It will be a delight to see just what's in store in the old Hisuian region, and what our clash with the god Pokémon Arceus will be like when we finally make it there. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin might not have been graced with the kind of attention Square Enix were hoping for when it was revealed at this year's E3 gathering. But the shall we say delivery of protagonist Jack Garland has granted the game one of 2021's more memorable reveals, for better or worse. That's not to say that developer Team Ninja's injection of their own take on real-time combat into the Final Fantasy series shouldn't be commended for its mechanical curiosity, but to say nothing about the "is it self-aware, is it not self-aware" debate that continues to orbit around Stranger of Paradise would be to ignore what has given this game its unintended spotlighting. Anticipation in this case may not be purely gameplay focused, but regardless of how orderly or chaotic the game ends up being, you can be sure that Stranger of Paradise's early showing has made this a 2022 title to look forward to. Stray. When we put Stray on last year's list of our most anticipated games, it could be argued that maybe it was just due to the potential meme status. After all, we didn't see any gameplay at the time, just a cinematic of a city filled with robots that ended on our protagonist, a ridiculously cute kitty. But then we finally got a meaty gameplay showcase this past summer, and suddenly Blutweld's adventure shot up from that one good-looking sci-fi game with the cat to legitimate Game of the Year contender. So far, Stray is shaping up to be an incredible third-person adventure with an emphasis on exploring a strange future through a unique point of view, with gorgeous visuals to make it all stand out in different ways for our feline protagonists to get around, showing off their smooth traversal skills in the process. It simply looks like an absolute gem in the making. And yes, the fact that it has a kitty that can operate a vending machine still helps as well. Seriously, what other game this year is going to boast that? Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. After creating the best trilogy of superhero games to date, Rocksteady was sure to have its share of fans for whatever they decided to work on next as they moved on from the Caped Crusader. It took the better part of 5 years before it became clear what their next project was, but 2021 provided eager players with fresh looks at the story and gameplay of Rocksteady's take on the Suicide Squad. With Brainiac seemingly commandeering the minds of the powerful members of the Justice League, the fate of Metropolis, and potentially the world, rests squarely on the morally questionable shoulders of Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark. Featuring co-op combat that looks fast and fluid while taking advantage of each character's unique abilities and weapons, and a humorous narrative that allows Rocksteady to flex their storytelling capabilities across a larger portion of the DC universe, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League could easily prove to be the sleeper hit of 2022. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.